Example of one shamelessly misleading his audience. Half of the reviewer community already know he's blatantly cheating on YouTube. It's time someone finally says something to you, the viewers. You're gonna be really glad you found this video. You see, over the past couple of years, the number of wristwatch review websites and YouTube channels has exploded. Loads of people love watches and want to talk about them online. In general, this is fantastic news for viewers. Not only is there more content to enjoy, but it allows you to gain multiple perspectives on the same product, helping to better inform your purchasing decision. On the surface, all seems fine and dandy. Unfortunately though, some don't have your best interests at heart. Instead, they've realized they can profit from your naivety by posing as trustworthy, independent third parties whilst engaging in ethically and legally questionable practices behind the scenes. The number of outlets and individuals partaking in such behavior is rocketing. I'm now seeing so many blatant adverts being labeled as something else that I needed to bring attention to it. After all, this channel has always been about providing the best consumer advice possible. And frankly, the rise of these dishonest reviewers makes it harder for you to make wise purchasing decisions. The worst part is, many of you don't even know it's happening. You're being hoodwinked. So how will this video help the situation? Well, you won't see me naming many websites, channels, or persons in this video, as my aim actually isn't to stir up drama in this largely positive community. I'd rather approach this by arming you with a set of 12 things that you need to be aware of, or on the lookout for, so you don't get hosed. Effectively 12 signs of a reviewer that can't be trusted. Hey, by the end of this, you might not even trust me, and that's fine. Some of these are easy to spot, whilst others, they're a little more covert. The more of these indicators they hit, the more likely they are to be telling porkies. Get your bingo cards ready, boys. Here we go. Number 1, daily reviews. An immediate red flag is daily reviews. If an individual is creating fresh reviews every single day, perhaps even multiple per day, that's a slam dunk right there. How could they have possibly spent any real time with the watch if they're pumping out content at that rate? Think about it for a second. It makes no sense. Okay, there are some caveats here. Larger publishers, for instance, may have multiple members of staff, so they can alternate between different writers and still ensure a consistent flow of daily content. However, I think when one person is spamming out the uploads or blog posts, you should be concerned. Similarly, I'd never trust a video if it were a simultaneous unboxing and review of any product, let alone an expensive wristwatch. If they're literally unboxing it for the first time on camera, why on earth would you trust their instant review? They've only owned the product for a few seconds. In my opinion, that person is in no position to give any sort of critical analysis, so titling it as a review is disingenuous at best. You shouldn't trust them. Why is this even a thing though? Why do people do it? Well, you see, it's all part of the content game. They rush out the unboxing and review quickly so they can keep spamming out daily content to please the algorithms that control what you, the viewer, get to see. YouTube, for example, loves it when creators have a channel that is alive and kicking. The more uploads, the better, and they may well push the content out to a wider audience as a result. Another incentive is that money comes from views, not subscribers. Whether you're talking YouTube subscribers or email subscribers for a blog, those numbers are in no way correlated with your earnings. Views are what actually count towards revenue, and if you're pumping out 6 videos a week instead of 1, that's potentially 6 times the viewership and consequently 6 times the cash. Aside from the obvious, some further factors highlight that the content creator has likely spent little to no time with the watch. Number 3, stock images only. Far too often, I see articles and videos comprised solely of stock images of the watches being mentioned. There are whole websites that rip their images straight from Amazon or the product manufacturer. No video footage, no custom images in any reviews, nothing. In some rare cases, if the article is about incredibly high-end or rare watches, this might be forgivable. However, when it's done en masse, it's a giveaway sign that the person has never handled the watches in question. This is becoming commonplace among watch review websites, many of whom rely solely on this style of content because it's lazy, cheap, and easy. Plenty of YouTubers are also guilty of this practice. In either case, if you suspect that they've never actually seen the watch and seem to just be reading off specifications, it's probably not worth listening to their advice. Sometimes though, that strategy backfires. You see, on occasion, manufacturers and retailers accidentally list incorrect specifications on their product pages. Many of these so-called reviewers just take their information straight from the manufacturer's websites, without fact-checking them first, as they've got no physical product to measure. Therefore, they often echo these incorrect specifications. As a viewer or reader, there's a few ways of easily spotting this. First up, many of these pretenders only ever use measurements in whole numbers. I'd be more willing to trust someone that either shows the measuring process on video or has precise measurements accurate to 1 decimal place. Secondly, real reviewers generally show the lug-to-lug size, which is a stat often absent from online listings, and consequently dodgy content. Of course, they could just steal these numbers from other reviews that are legit, but it's certainly another one on the tick list. As is number 5, no criticisms mentioned. Having a positive mindset is one thing, but never criticizing anything is a warning sign in itself. I've noticed that many of these supposed reviewers never seem to mention any negatives about the products. There appear to be entire websites and channels that do this whilst still labeling their content as reviews. For context, here's the definition of a review. A formal assessment of something with the intention of instituting change if necessary. In my books, if they rarely ever say anything bad about the watches that they feature, they're just making adverts disguised as reviews. They likely aren't interested in instituting change, rather, they want your change. Similarly, if they keep insisting that every watch is the best watch at something, or have incredibly positive titling across the board, regardless of the watches in question, then whether the creator realizes it or not, they're a glorified marketing service for brands, rather than a true reviewer. While sometimes this is done maliciously, to shift more affiliate products or to get more views, other times it's simply a subconsciously selfish endeavor to obtain more free watches, as brands are more willing to send products to places where they're effectively guaranteed a positive review. The good thing is, for those of you at home, both of those last two are easy to look out for. However, something you've probably seen and not thought twice about is going under the radar. When you've got reviewers that shill the shit out of a watch, then a week later go on to advertise that very same watch for sale via their YouTube channel, you have to wonder, why? If they love this watch so much that they've spent 10 minutes complimenting it, especially if it's the right size for their wrist, why are they now trying to desperately sell it for as much cash as possible? I don't know about you, but when I find products that I love, including watches, I tend to hang on to them and use them. Sure, if the watch is clearly the wrong size for the reviewer, that's understandable. But if that's not the case and it fits them well, you have to question their motives. Number 8. Review conducted by brand or retailer. Your alarm bells should be ringing even louder if the review has been conducted by the seller of the watch. Whether this company is also the original manufacturer or simply a separate dealer, their perspective is inherently biased, and significantly so. Why would they give you the full picture of both the strengths and weaknesses of a piece that they're trying to sell you? It's not like they're going to criticize their own product, is it? Let's take a brand like Filippo Loretti for instance, as I've already mentioned it in previous videos, so I'm not causing fresh drama. They have a video review of one of their watches on their YouTube channel. In this video, they mention nothing negative about the watch whatsoever, and suspiciously, the review sounds like an advert. Wait a second. If we have a look at my Social Blade tab here, something doesn't add up. Based on the number of views this video has, compared to how many total channel views they've received in the last 30 days, there's a huge discrepancy. And it's also got very few comments. Well, from the looks of it, this video was used in an ad campaign at some point, which is why this has hundreds of thousands of views compared to the terrible monthly viewership. Here's the kicker. This video is still publicly listed on their YouTube channel, yet nowhere in it, or the video description, or title for that matter, does it mention that this is an advert. If you look at the video tags, you'll also see that they're making a conscious effort to get this video to rank in YouTube search results by using terms such as Filippo Loretti Review and Venice Automatic Review, among many others. They want people to find this video before any other. Not only is the absence of this ad disclosure illegal, but intentionally titling it as a review is deceitful for viewers. While many companies are using this simple advert repurposing strategy, I've seen a rise in watch dealers making review videos specifically designed for YouTube, or written reviews designed for their website. Here, I think there's a huge conflict of interest. They're making a review, which, remember, is supposed to be an impartial, formal assessment of something. Yet you have a huge incentive to make the viewer buy the product. After all, as the retailer, they'll get a big chunk of profit from the sale of the watch. In other words, it's an inherent, unavoidable bias. Of course, very few of these review videos or blog posts are ever properly labeled as adverts or having paid promotion, when they probably should be to comply with current FTC guidelines, especially when titled as a review. A good example of how dealer content should be done is Mark over at Long Island Watch. As far as I can tell, he never presents or labels his videos as reviews, and instead simply showcases some of the interesting watches that he's selling. Now this brings up a question. What about when a reviewer is sent a watch to review or is an affiliate for one of these retailers or brands? Well, I've got no real problem with these, and neither do most regulatory bodies, as long as that affiliate relationship is disclosed. The main difference between a retailer review and an affiliate review is the percentage of the sale. You'll generally find that in a typical watch sale, an affiliate cut is a tiny fraction of that taken by the retailer. Hence the reason why I think lots of these watch guys are turning into dealers, because it will make them more money. Depending on the brand, you're talking on average around 4% of the item value as an affiliate, meaning you need a humongous number of clicks to make any serious money. Thus, there's far less of a financial incentive to make a biased review. The same applies to free product. Of course, the person in the video or the one who's written the blog post has to tell you, the viewer, that they've been sent the product for free. The way I look at it is that high-quality watch reviews would just not be a viable proposition if the person had to buy all the watches themselves. It would be tremendously expensive and simply not sustainable for anyone but the richest 1% if that precedent was set, especially given the appalling ad rates that Google dishes out to creators. A monopoly of only the biggest outlets in this space will not benefit viewers in any way. Nevertheless, issues start to arise when the creator gets sneaky. Sometimes they'll partake in affiliate programs that offer significantly higher returns, which should rightly make you question the legitimacy of the review connected to it. Before now, we've covered affiliate programs that dish out up to a whopping 25% commissions, with possible additional cash payments to boot. This is a far cry from the mere 4% you currently get with Amazon USA, and is approaching dealer levels of commission. I've got no doubt that certain people are using these schemes in an effort to get rich quick. Regardless of the program being used, the content creator is legally obliged to reveal this connection. It's why you'll find this hefty paragraph in every one of our video descriptions and blog posts, even when we're not using affiliate links on that occasion. It's worth checking the affiliate program being used if it seems obscure. However, many of these bad actors deliberately make it difficult by not including any sort of legal disclosure. By omitting any mention of affiliate links from the video or its description, they could make you think it's just a normal product link. Luckily, you can typically spot them either by the usage of a brand-specific link shortener or by the inclusion of some sort of affiliate reference number in the full URL. If you spot one of these without the appropriate disclosure, the reviewer may be up to no good. While those first 9 signs are great indicators for you to consider when deciding who to trust or not trust, unfortunately, there are some far shadier practices going on behind closed doors. Number 10. Personal connection to the brand. It's difficult to call something an objective review if the assessor has a notable connection to the brand or the people running it. The difficulty here is identifying when this is the case. Outside of the rare occasions when reviewers specifically confirm this type of relationship, you likely have no clue. Sadly, there's not much that you can do in these situations. Just be aware that in some instances, this is happening. I've seen examples where people have written reviews or done videos specifically to help out a friend who just started their own watch brand, or chatting about the person who sent them the watch. To me, this indicates the potential for bias to please the person from the brand. Number 11. Access media. If you're not familiar with the term, access media, or access journalism as it's often known, is essentially where an outlet is given special, exclusive access to certain products or services, and the outlet does everything in its power to maintain this type of relationship. Why would they do this? Well, because it's highly lucrative. You see, their special access to people or products before anyone else means they can release their content before anyone else, and gobble up the majority of the viewership as a result. As you learned earlier, more viewership means more ka-ching ka-ching. In order to maintain such privileges, these websites and channels have to keep on good terms with the watch brands in question. In other words, they rarely ever make criticisms when they're due. As a result, this is even worse than the previous sign, as there is a far larger financial incentive and more pressure to deliver a positive review. As such, I'd never recommend trusting any type of review video or similar from any access media establishment, whether that be in the wristwatch genre or any other. Their whole business model revolves around treading on eggshells, which I think is anti-consumer. To be clear, not all early access content would fall under access journalism in my books. I think you should only be really concerned with the instances that would have clear financial benefits for the reviewer or reporter. It's one thing being sent a watch from an obscure Kickstarter micro brand that nobody's heard of, but it's something entirely different to be given early access to the latest Rolex or Patek launches that everyone will be yearning for. It may come as no surprise then that often the close relationships don't end there. In fact, some people are happily asking for money in exchange for reviews on their channel or website. While typically this would just be speculation, as most of these would be arranged in private, for once I have solid proof that this is occurring. Late last year, I was contacted by a random Chinese brand that was offering cash payments for the promotion of their watches. Accidentally, they emailed a bunch of reviewers concurrently, meaning that all recipients could see the responses from everyone else on the list, should they reply within that same thread. Inadvertently, a YouTube reviewer with around 25,000 subscribers at the time replied to this email, likely not realizing it would be on show to me and everyone else, with a response indicating that his usual rate was $250 for a full video with links. Just over a month later, and the review video of this piece went live on his channel. I was forced to sit through the whole 10 minutes of boredom, and at no point did he mention that he was paid by the company or that the product was provided to him free of charge. There were also no disclaimers in the video description or any sign of a pinned comment either. This isn't just a clear example of a content creator breaking legal guidelines. It's also an example of one shamelessly misleading his audience whilst sounding very genuine in the process. If I hadn't already been aware of that email, I doubt that even I would have realized that he'd been paid. If Adrian from Bark and Jack and I had not made a mockery of this message chain, I also suspect other reviewers would have also replied and tried something similarly greedy. That's not to say that others couldn't have replied in a separate private message instead, so perhaps other reviewers were guilty in this instance too. By the way, good on you, Adrian. As a viewer, at least you can trust that he probably isn't bullshitting you. Worryingly though, this backhander isn't such an isolated incident. In fact, I've heard enough to indicate that there's a whole black market of these paid reviews happening right now. Guy at Just Bluefish Watch Reviews even had a brand admit via email that they'd paid another channel of over 400,000 subscribers to make multiple promotional videos without any payment disclosures in said videos. I can proudly say that Ben's Watch Club has never and will never accept cash payments in exchange for a review spot on our channel or blog. Our objective is just to best serve you, the viewer, and we always tell you where the product was sourced from. The only arrangements that we agree to are ones where we are provided with a product to review, with no creative control on the sender's part and no cash to go alongside it. It's why you've seen me roasting some of the products I've been sent in the past, and that's the only way I'd have it. I think in the long run, that approach will pay dividends. Concerningly, I've also heard numerous credible reports of YouTubers taking payments for innocent-looking wristwatch checks at the start of their videos, without labeling them as adverts. Of course, this isn't the case with every creator, which is inherently where the problem lies. It's a minefield. Even I don't know which creators are the bad apples engaging in this disgusting practice. So goodness knows what it's like to be a passing viewer. To the guilty parties, I hope karma comes around to haunt you sooner rather than later. While we're on the topic of guilty parties, there's something I need to tag on here too. In fact, rather than 12 signs, we'll add a 13th. Unlucky 13th for this channel, Watch Reviews 4K, who I've gone and caught in 4K. Gotcha, bitch! I don't mind naming and shaming this guy, because half of the reviewer community already know he's blatantly cheating on YouTube, breaking their terms of service in the process. It's time someone finally said something to you, the viewers. You see, I think all creators should be on a fair and even playing field when it comes to growing an audience. But Watch Reviews 4K doesn't see it that way. Instead, over the last few months, he's been utilizing a strategy called comment botting. This involves paying for an online service that uses your account and an automated program to comment on a ton of YouTube videos about a select topic. In the case of Watch Reviews 4K, it's wristwatch videos. I know this because he's commented virtually identical comments dozens of times on my videos, and I've seen him doing the same on a plethora of other channels too. Unless he suffers from amnesia and keeps writing the same thing again and again, I can't really forgive him this time. Why would someone do this though? What's the incentive for this bizarre method? Well, of course, it's metrics and money. Another look at my favourite social blade starts to paint a picture. This guy is only getting an eighth of the views of my channel, yet remarkably is gaining 5 times the number of monthly subscribers. Then at a certain point, his subscriber growth just plummets and stops completely. What's going on here? I mean, 20,000 subscribers is more than some of the largest channels in the watch space. These metrics don't seem to add up in the slightest. Well, essentially, this comment bot is showing this guy's channel to everyone in the comments section of almost every wristwatch video on the platform. Therefore, a tiny percentage of people who see these comments may be inclined to click through to his channel and subscribe. Hence the pitiful view numbers compared to the insane subscriber growth. A general rule of thumb is that for every 1,000 views on YouTube, a channel can expect to gain around 3 to 5 subscribers. For context, our channel is doing well at an average of just over 6 per 1,000. When you do the math, our boy Watch Reviews 4K is making us all look rubbish, with an insane average of 144 subscribers per 1,000 views. That's a ratio that even YouTube juggernauts like PewDiePie aren't close to matching. By my estimations, this sharp drop-off in subscribers is probably in sync with his paid comment bot license expiring. By the time you watch this video, maybe he's bought some more again and he's beaten my channel growth, who knows? Gaining more subscribers using this bannable method could lead to artificially inflated viewership on his channel, which ultimately means more money pocketed from ad revenue. If he's using something as extreme as a paid comment bot, you have to question if there's any other mischievous stuff occurring. Well, now that you've got the 12-step process to identifying a fake watch reviewer, maybe you can tell me. If you found this video useful, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. The authors send their regards.